Bulls are back in control. That was the slogan of my last update 2 weeks ago. Smart money and big institutions flooded the markets, especially in Europe. And last time we talked, I was showing that short-term market health sentiment of the DAX. We were right here at that negative extreme. I said whenever there's such an extreme, it usually marked a turning point, and we are back on the positive momentum at this indicator. And I mentioned the importance of the midterm market health of DAX. It stayed positive throughout the entire decline, and finally DAX ended up at a new all-time high by the end of last week. So let's hop deeper into it. Big rising channel at the DAX, etc. In our weekly chart, the starting point was in February 2020, then in March 2020, the second upper touch here in 2021. There were actually several touches right here before we corrected into that low of October 2022. And now we have a touch once again at the upper boundary of that rising channel. We have to mention that these touches are not as accurate, so we have to give it a bit more tolerance here at the upper side. However, we were hitting a few long-term targets here at our green sequence last week. Here you see another zoom in of the chart we just looked at. You see the long-term target 2843. I came up with these targets at the beginning of the year. My members actually know about it. And here you see that upper boundary of that channel, which DAX was hitting by Friday. I assume that we're gonna break through that boundary next week. The primary cycle started right just before Christmas with a nice divergence compared to the US markets. They made a new low here last week Monday, but DAX is about to enter the time frame of a new subcycle low early next week. Another big pattern which finished last week was that inverted shoulder head shoulder pattern. It hit all the targets here at 2888, I think it was the 100% target of that pattern. Another daily chart with a lot of pop guns. The first pop gun we had over Christmas, that candle here just before Christmas, got trapped in between the one after and the one before Christmas, where we made a very nice back test of these October all-time highs. This one canceled the first one out. It created a new one over New Year's, and this one finally popped up with 200% duplications. To the upside, it created straight after a new one with the candle on the 10th. However, DAX pulled back to its original trigger right here at 20.024. The low was at 20.025. So we accomplished that pullback, even it was not necessary. And then this pullback was just a faker to the downside because we didn't hit the first 100% duplication of that PG. We turned around and we started that gap rally, which was anticipated by me during the entire week. Again, smart money was flooding the market, and we hit already 2.5 duplications of that pop gun to the upside. We are just below the magnet, a daily magnet at 2993, and we are just below the first long-term target of that green sequence. That's another one at 21.071. And we go lower onto the time frame. This is an H4 time frame with the JFD indication. I was coming up with that descending broadening wedge here shown in blue at the beginning of the week. We triggered that pattern right here. We pulled back a little bit, and then we aggressively broke out that pattern. We were hitting the first min target on the dot here, and then we pulled back by just a little bit. We triggered that blue sequence also at 25.69, and then we continued the rally into the last target of that sequence. We were hitting also the descending broadening wedge 100% target, and there is another pattern. The first target of that triangle here shown in red is waiting at 29.76, just below the magnet I just mentioned at 20.999. And one of the most hated charts, the Dax Kursindex. So this is a real index which hasn't really hit all of the targets yet, especially of that descending broadening wedge here, which is still missing the 100% target here at 80.75. And note there are minimum targets here of that green sequence between 80.095 and 8229. The 8229 is usually a regular target, which is still 2.63% away from the closing price we had on Friday. And another Kursindex chart, this time it's a weekly time frame, and you also see here open targets at 85.02. That is a 100% target of that symmetrical triangle. And if you want to convert that to the DAX performance indication, that's around about another 5.8% away from that topping target. We continue with the Dow Jones. You see the transportation at the bottom, the industrial at the top. You see the pre-Christmas lows from the 20th, they were holding at the transportations. We were making secondary higher lows while the industrials were breaking these lows last Friday, and they continued breaking them on Monday. We also had very strong lunar signals on the full moon on Monday, and that was a very strong buying opportunity. We were buying the entire time here, by the way. By now we cashed out already 4,500 Dow Jones points, and we are still holding our call positions because I assume this rally to be continued, just considering what the big guys are doing. And we stay on the daily cash chart. You see here that falling bullish Wolver wave wedge here in blue. It was hitting the first target line on Wednesday, the second one on Friday. We spiked up, and after hitting that we were pulling back just a little bit. I came up also with that pop gun here, little similar to DAX. We had one already here. This one just didn't work out at all. A new one got created right here. It faked up, it faked down, it finally broke to the upside. We hit the first 100% duplication. As I said before, I assume that rally to be continued, at least to retest the all-time highs out of the 4th of December. We still have an open second minimum target at 45,400 on the cash. That red line here, by the way, was holding. The last line of defense was that green area here, that green zone. It didn't even get hit. So I remain bullish, and I remain to hold my calls here at the Dow Jones. Jump into my Discord. So in case you want to join at JCS-Charting.com, what you are going to expect. This is here our M15 thread of the Nasdaq 100. It's a cash chart I gave my members just before that news data release we had at just 1 hour before the US Open. I came up with that inverted shoulder pattern. I gave my members the first target around 2900 to trigger that pattern. We actually had a straight gap up. And then I gave them the magnet at 21,239. There's always a text associated with it. You see it right here. And we jump into the live shot. Here's the result of it. That pattern I just talked about, it gapped up, triggered that pattern, hit the first target, the second target on the next day. I came up with that flag channel here for my members, and I said keep buying these lows because we triggered 21,236. Remember, that was our magnet level, and that opens min targets of 21,425 and 21,502, which we hit on the Friday session. And yeah, we were selling a little bit into the end. We still have an open target at 21,667 with a 70% probability. Pretty much the same thing occurred at the S&P 500. Again, this is my Discord 15-minute thread, cash levels here. I mentioned 5876. That is the neckline to be triggered. Here you see it's actually before that large gap we had, and I said 5932 is magnet. That is right there. And again, this is the live cash chart of the S&P 500. We're still on the 15-minute time frame, and this is here the first target, which got hit straight away. The 100% target of that inverted shoulder head shoulder pattern got hit here on the nose before it started to consolidate. You see here how accurate these targets work out if you know how to calculate them right. And I gave my members that hint that we triggered. Remember that magnet 5932? We triggered above that level, which means we have a over 90% probability to hit that min target zone of 5976 all the way up to 5993. This is what happened. We had also like a, similar to Nasdaq, a bullish flag channel, or you can call it also a bullish wither wave wedge, to be precise, and we gapped up once again with the data release on Friday. There's still an open target at 6031. It still has a 70% probability of being hit, and I also keeping half of my call positions. I had a lot of them in my intermediate setups. Members actually appreciate that a lot. There's a 93% hit rate of these kind of timing trades. Last but not least, the VIX, the volatility index for the S&P 500. We had a very strong divergence last Monday here to the index. We made a significant lower high at the volatility, but a slightly lower low at the index, which was another buying signal in association with that lunar signal I was talking earlier. However, the VIX is running for a suggested cycle low until the end of the month. I assume we are running into new all-time highs at the S&P 500, and we are looking for another divergence and the next 9 count here at the VIX. Of course, it's much more in detail for my members. You won't get everything here. If you want to join, as mentioned earlier, JCS-Charting.com. Hit the subscribe button there and you can buy one of 2 packages. That's about it. Give me a like and leave me a nice comment, and I see you at the beginning of next week. Thanks for watching and bye-bye.